Dating in 2023 has been crazy. Can you relate to this?
Tell him I got the juice.
Looks like we got a couple who have met somewhere along the lines, right? This is definitely cinematography, but it's kind of given a picture of maybe how dating is perceived in 2023, right? I enjoyed hanging out with you today. I enjoyed hanging out with you too. We should definitely hang out again. Want to meet up again sometime next week? Yeah, I'm down, right? So as you can see, he's a little invested. Oh man, he really invested, right? You're literally one of the most sweetest guys I've ever met. That's what it says at the top. The fine related content's kind of covering it. I'm sorry your past relationship didn't go well. You deserve better. Hey, you want to FaceTime in a little? Yeah, sure. Right. Definitely. Definitely. Seems like it's good. Seems like we're on the right track of things, right? The vibe is there. The movement is there, right? Everything is cool. Now we're hitting what seems like a turn. Hey, I really enjoyed talking to you, and it's been fun getting to know you these past few weeks. I would really love to take you out on a date. Okay. So it seems like they haven't really met in person just yet. Everything's kind of been on the phone, but it's been cool and it's been good enough to take it in person. Her, I also had fun getting to know you too. And I want to thank you for being so sweet and kind to me. But I am not ready for a relationship. And I have a lot going on at work and with family. There's this shift. Things have kind of turned. Things were looking up. And now all of a sudden it seems like, dang. So you can see the look on his face. He's not feeling it. Then all of a sudden the conversations kind of take a dip, right? Start getting a little dry, not really as invested. He's still wanting to do a little something, trying to see what's up, but it's not really there, right? Hey, you want to grab food sometime tomorrow? Sorry, I'm super busy. Maybe another day. Let me know in the comment section if you've experienced this. Have you experienced anything like this in your dating experience? Maybe not in 2023, but in a different year. Let me know. Hey, I miss hanging out with you. Are you free at all today? No response, right? Now you're ghosting me. You're no different than the other guys I've been with. No response. Hey, I'm sorry for lashing out at you. No response. He's just definitely checked out at this point, right? And here it is. Here's the culmination. Here's the culmination. And the finding related content is kind of covering it, but this is what it says. Hey, I know it's been a way since we've talked, but I've been thinking a lot and I feel like I am ready to finally be in a relationship again. You're one of the only guys I know that treats me well. I know you're probably not going to respond, but would you be down to maybe grab some coffee or food tomorrow and hang out? And his response, ooh, nah, I'm good. That experience is real. I can relate. It's very real. It's very real. And I just want to let you know that it's very much more possible that you will find or run into things like this now than maybe there perhaps ever been. Okay. I don't have this statistically. It's just my humble opinion because there are a lot of people who are wounded and who have been hurt from past relationships. And it's not to say that you are to come in and play the Superman and play doctor and play the healer, but there is a necessity to be patient in these spaces, especially if this is somebody that you have genuinely grown interest in and you really desire to see where things go. The biggest thing that I need you to be able to do is to not be quick to jump to offense in such a moment like that. And I know what you're thinking, bro.
Oh, how? It happened to me. She did it to me, my G. How?
But I'm telling you, man, a lot of the responses that this cinematography granted that I think a lot of people can relate the emotions and all, it comes from a place of misunderstanding because there's something that isn't seen, isn't explained, right? Isn't expounded upon. And it leaves the guy, or even vice versa, if it happens to the girl, really left in wonder and confusion. Wait, I just thought things were going so well. What happened? And you begin to kind of play this storytelling thing, right? Where you're telling yourself all these stories, these lies, and then you kind of start buying into it, right? You start trying to find some kind of solution, some kind of story to just give yourself something to buy and believe to get, over that individual. And I think that is a lot of how we rabbit hole into these places of red pill, and we rabbit hole into these places of generalizing all women in certain categories and generalizing all men in certain categories because we take that experience and then we just lump everybody into it, and doesn't do any good, doesn't do any favors, and it doesn't really help us in our journey to actually be men who raise families, have a marriage, get to those places, and really be able to enjoy the company we create with the people that we connect with. Here is the biggest thing that I just want you to be willing to do is to step out of that circle of selfishness. Don't jump to becoming offended in that situation. There's a lot of reasons why somebody could potentially be sending you a message like that. Things were going well, and then all of a sudden you had no indications, no cues. This person says they're not ready for a relationship. It's easy to look at that and say,
Wow, it's because of me. What did I do? What could I have done better?
or maybe you go into this whole spin of saying they aren't about anything, and you it's a lot of anger and frustration, but really behind that emotion is a lot of fear, sadness, maybe anxiety, right? And so what's taking place in this moment is there's a lot of emotions that we're responding with, and we need to dial that back. And the way that we dial that back, not ignoring how we feel, but really trying to get an understanding on where that person's coming from. With anybody that I'm engaging with, I need to get an understanding of that person's perspective. Where are they coming from? What have they dealt with? What's going on? What is behind the scenes that is influencing this person's decision here? Right. And I think a lot of that comes with moving in curiosity and asking questions, right? Just have that conversation. And it's a conversation that could feel uncomfortable and maybe a little bit challenging. But wouldn't it be better to know than it is to just kind of dance around in the unclarity, in the cloudness of confusion, trying to figure out what story would make most sense, right? I've played this game. I did it. Trust me when I tell you, it took me a minute before I came back around to get a little bit of clarity on the situation at hand. I got to tell you, once I got that clarity, it made sense. I was like, wow, no, I get you. Like everything that I was trying to tell myself to cope with this, to feel better about this, wasn't it. Like it was far from the truth. And when I got that clarity, it made sense. And not only did it make sense, but it was also giving me freedom and room to be able to know how I wanted to navigate about this relationship and connection moving forward. Right. It gave me the freedom to be able to look at what is here and be able to decide, how am I going to navigate? What do I have the capacity for regarding this person? What I believe could be here, what we believe could be here, and how are we going to navigate this moving forward? And that's what I want for you. For you to have that opportunity, not to use this as a time to be offended and to lash out and to allow this to change your character and allow this to wound you to a place where you begin identifying with your wound. I really want you to get to a place where you look at that, you take note of it, and then you say, man, I wonder if there's something else behind here, because if I'm the man that I'm supposed to be, man of character, integrity, love, honesty, right? I'm consistent. I showed up. I was not somebody else. I'm not, right? The company was enjoyed. The vibes were really good in person. The conversations have been very well, right? All these different things that we can take note of in meeting somebody, in journeying with somebody. And for that to happen, we really want to take all of that into consideration, right? If I was who I'm supposed to be, man, I did everything I could. I was loving. I was being who I am, right? And that's nothing to apologize for. So now the question becomes, well, why? What happened? And that's how we get into that space of clarity. If you can manage, if you can genuinely say, hey, I need this clarity, or I want to get this clarity in order to move forward from things and not be messed up with all these confusions and all these different things, then hey, let's do it. Let's have that conversation. Let's really have that tough conversation to figure out what's going on and how I may need to navigate about this moving forward. And I think you'll benefit from it greatly if you're able to accept whatever comes out of this person's mouth, knowing that if this person begins to degrade you and disrespect you, because we know that there is a possibility that could happen depending on who you're messing with, then we know that, man, this person probably wasn't the one anyway, right? This person probably wasn't the right one anyway, because they're degrading me and trying to disrespect me and put me down this rabbit hole. And so I'm good. I know, right? And I think that is something that is huge in moments like this, because we can easily take this and hold it in and hold in all the emotions and all the responses, allow anger and bitterness to fester up without really getting clarity. And who knows? Y'all, I'm just telling you from experience. You really don't know until you get some clarity on what's going on. Because then you'll look at that situation, you'll come up with all the stories, and you couldn't be further from the truth sometimes. Like there are some people who are sending out messages like that because, man, maybe there's some stuff that has brought up in them when they encountered you. They didn't like what they saw about themselves and it had nothing to do with you. So what was easier? To leave, not to stay and wrestle with that, but to take a back door, to let off the gas pedal. Maybe they're reminded of certain past experiences and relationships they've had. Maybe they got into the space and, man, it just they realized that this was real and they didn't really know what to do. Maybe it's possible that they didn't really know how to communicate how they felt to you. It's possible that they didn't really know how to put it to words and how to explain it. And so instead of trying to explaining it because they were in fear of maybe sounding silly, maybe it's not a legit reason, they won't believe me, man, let me just take a step back. Let me just go ahead. Hey, I'm not ready for this right now. Right. But again, if you take a second to just let off the gas and get some understanding on what's taking place, you might be surprised on why that message was sent and how to navigate that moving forward. But the biggest thing is moving with patience and having an understanding. Okay. And I want to show you these two scriptures in mind that kind of help us wrap this thing up to make it make sense. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7 reads this: The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom, though it costs all you have, get understanding. Okay. Now, of course, from the biblical worldview, we understand a lot of this wisdom, most of this wisdom, all of this wisdom we know. Speaking of God, speaking of the gospel message, speaking of seeking after God with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength, gaining wisdom, which is God, building a relationship with Him. Yes, absolutely. In context. And this nugget here is something that we can apply even in our spaces and dimensions of relationships, because there's a lot of things that we may speak on and we may move toward and move about that we don't know. And it is not until we get an understanding that then we're able to see how to better navigate a certain situation, how to proceed, how to move forward. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do. Take the time to seek understanding, get understanding on that certain situation, right? If it bothered you, it was something that really dealt with your heart, man, sit down, have that conversation. Hey, what happened? What was going on? Let me get your thoughts on what influenced that ultimate decision. Seemed like things were going well, and I definitely don't want to come off as any rude or anything like that, but I just want to know, right? And move in curiosity and ask those questions, because you have a better opportunity to move forward with the understanding than you are to just be like, yo, well, I mean, I guess I can figure out whatever story makes sense and move on with it. And then at the same time, hold on a lot to bitterness and anger and hurt because you were blindsided or you felt blindsided, or a lot of negative emotions came from that experience. So get understanding. Proverbs 14, verse 29 is the next one. And it also deals with getting an understanding. So here, whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick tempered displays folly, right? So a part of a link to getting understanding is being patient, right? A part of linking that, those two link really well and link together. So if I the more understanding I have, the more patient I am, right? The more willing I am to kind of get an understanding on what's in front of me, the scenario I'm dealing with, the person I'm dealing with, what's really at hand. And furthermore, do I have the capacity to really contain what this person is bringing to me? Do I have the capacity to really journey with this person with where they are? Do I have the capacity to not force how I want this person to see me, see this situation, right? I don't need this person to, I don't want to force them to see this in a potential romantic way in a relationship. No, no, no. I just really want to have the capacity to potentially be what this relationship could call for, and not feel as if I've been attacked, not feel as if what they did was extremely offensive, or furthermore, right, not feel like I have to go out of my way to offend this person because they didn't give me what I wanted, right? I don't want my character to change because something isn't available the way I thought it would, because then that just means that what we were doing this whole time isn't legitimate. The love that we were trying to give wasn't legitimate. So, whoever is patient has great understanding. So, I want to be patient in this, not being quick to anger, right? But I want to have some understanding here. And I want to ask questions and move in curiosity to figure out, how did we get here and how are we going to proceed forward? But one who is quick tempered displays folly. And where's the folly and foolishness in all of this? Well, in all honesty, it's possible that you could be missing out on someone amazing for your life, friendship or romantically. You could be missing out on somebody amazing for your life simply because you weren't willing to get an understanding on where they were coming from. You weren't willing to get an understanding on where they were standing and what they were dealing with that led them to the decisions that they made. And instead, we took it so offensively that we were done. And I'm speaking specifically to this situation. Now, if you're dealing with a situation where unfaithfulness is involved, you have been mistreated legitimately, whether it's physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, like, nah, we don't apply the same thing to that. Okay. No way, shape, or form. I'm just speaking on on the perspective of dating and walking into dating culture. You met somebody, conversation was going good, then all of a sudden they backed out. I think there needs to be some room to get some understanding. If that's somebody that you're legitimately wanting to build something with and see where things go in with intention, with direction, Okay. Of course, around here with the goal to marry, not just the goal to be together, right? But goal to marry, right? So you want to get some understanding there. You want to get some understanding on what influenced that decision, what influenced that, so that you are able to better navigate how you want to move forward about things instead of going off of assumptions, made up stories. And then now we're shutting down, walking away. Now we're generalizing all women into this same thing, right? And we see how that rabbit hole affects us in the end, right? Like we just really want to build that patience, have understanding, and really be able to navigate through those things properly in order to move forward with the relationships that we're connecting and creating with other people around us. Listen, I know dating can be tough. Dating can be a process, and it is a process. And take your time, right? Take your time getting to know somebody. Take your time getting to learn who they are and whether or not this is somebody that you want to commit to understand and want to build a future with, not just for the moment, but for, your life and direction. But really, really consider that because there could be a lot more to the story behind messages like that than maybe what we're trying to receive it as being offended, right? Being quick to offense that really has a lot of selfishness in the mix. And if we get some understanding, we might be better off. So I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Listen, if you like this video, definitely subscribe, share this with a friend, turn on post notifications so you know the next time we're posting. Comment below any other videos that you want me to react to that are similar to this, that circle around relationships, or get at me on social media, send it through a DM, and we'll keep sending reactions this way. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, until our next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Hey, peace.